All right, welcome back to another episode of Beer, Bacon, and Bros. Tonight we are going to jump into some college basketball predictions for the season. We're going to pick the winners of these major 6 conferences. Before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button for us. As always, we appreciate the growth in the channel. And if you're already a subscriber, we appreciate you and all that you do for us. Make sure you like that button. And as always, feel free to hit us in the comments. So, we're going to jump into it. A little bit of predictions basically for these major conferences. We're talking SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, and the Big East, because the Big East is regarded as like the actual
basketball power conference.
Yeah. So in football, you have the Power 5, and in men's basketball now apparently you have the Power 6, as they're considering the Big East. A lot of good teams in the Big East too, so I think that's a fair
assessment.
Yeah, fair respect for a conference that's probably putting, I'd say 5-6 teams maybe into the tournament. So we'll hit on first, SEC. So they got South Carolina as a 12 and 17 team. I know that's a little rough, but I don't think any of us are sitting around expecting South Carolina to win the SEC in men's basketball this year.
I don't think they win I think they could potentially have a winning record or close to it. I don't think they can.
I would say, didn't they do the same thing last year though? They projected us to finish below 500.
Yeah, we ended up having a winning record, probably what nine in the green, nine in the black, 10 in the black, something like that.
Yeah.
That might be a little high. I don't know that we got to 23, 24 wins, but
we hit that.
Right.
We hit that like 18 mark. I thought.
So we're 18 and 12.
Something like that. Yeah, I thought we did a lot better than what people had projected us to do.
Yeah.
But as far as winning the SEC,
no, we're not gonna win the SEC.
No, not at all.
By any stretch of the imagination.
God, as good as Kentucky is, yeah, no, I can't not pick Kentucky if we can always go.
Well, they returned that stud from last year. Was it?
Yeah,
Schwebe or whatever.
Yeah, I have no idea how to say his last name. Absolute double machine. Guy was 17 and 15 last year.
They returned him. He didn't play yesterday, but that's fine. They played like Cornell or something. So they were okay.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can take away from Kentucky. I mean, Tennessee does have a good team, but I don't think you can take away from Kentucky as long as they have that big man down low.
I'm going opposite of y'all. I actually think Tennessee. So when you look at Kentucky, they lost 4 of their top 6 scorers and starters off this team. Obviously, you get the most important player back. They get their best player back. And they actually brought in some kid from, in Illinois State that's averaging, 26 points a game. And speaking of them beating whoever yesterday, that kid dropped 22 on them. So, they're Kentucky. They're going to have plenty of talent. But Tennessee only loses one player. Only lost 1 starter out of their 5. They lost 1 of their top 6 scorers and one
out of the starting
which
5.
happened to be one of the starting 5. Granted, it was their best player, a guy that led them in both rebounds and points last year, but also picked up a giant transfer from Indiana State. Shout out to freaking Larry Bird, but I think they have more experience. So for me, I'm gonna trust in Tennessee to be able to go throughout the season.
Kentucky's always been one of those schools though that I feel like has been able to recycle players.
Yeah.
Well, recycle players in the fact that they've always had a lot of one and dones.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like Duke, North Carolina. They always have those players that come in and they have a huge year and they leave. And somehow they miraculously get 3 more to replace the 1 or 2 that they lost.
Yeah.
So
sleeper for me, if it's not one of those 2 teams, I actually think the Alabama Crimson Tide.
I was going to say,
it's finally going to have. It's finally going to be able to. They got the players. They've had players for 3 or 4 years now. They just got to put it together.
It's Isaiah Thomas, right? Isn't Isaiah Thomas their coach?
Maybe.
I think Isaiah.
I'm not sure.
I think Isaiah Thomas is their coach.
But I think they win the West.
He's put together a lot of good teams, a lot of good teams the last couple of years. Or at least whoever's coaching the team has put together a lot of good teams, and they've been in contention for a while.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think if I'm just picking a deep sleeper out of what we have, for me that would be the one that I would say is I think Alabama might.
Yeah, I would say them or.
Might be finally able to put it together. So.
I would say them or Auburn, one of the 2. Auburn's had a sneaky good team the last couple of years too.
Yeah. All right, we'll roll down to the Big Ten next. This is unique because for the last couple of years, we've seen Michigan kind of be that best team.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Big Ten put a lot of teams into the tournament last year. They projected them for
Did they put 15 in last year? It was an ungodly number.
Yeah, it felt like more than they even had in the whole damn conference.
Yeah.
But they got some big teams. From the website that we're looking at, Indiana is the favorite. there's always somebody in the Big Ten that ends up winning it. It's not actually the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I'm going to go off the wall a little bit here. I like Iowa this year, another extremely experienced team. They lost a big transfer to Kentucky. But I think Iowa just quietly plays good basketball, and I think I'm just going to take them off the wall for me and say that they're going to be the team that goes, we'll say 22-8 or 22-10 gets there.
I think I'm going Purdue.
I like that pick.
They've kind of sneakily been getting better the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
They've had some good ones of late in the postseason. So I think they're starting to get this basketball identity to them,
Right.
And the culture that's being brought to the Boilermakers is starting to be of a basketball school, and they're starting to make noise in the Big Ten. So yeah, that's what I'm going with.
I like Sparty. I like
Michigan State.
Yeah. Tom Izzo?
Tom
You
Izzo.
always got to feel
You can't ever bet against Tom.
No,
Izzo.
you cannot bet against big. I mean, he's big game talent. I mean, he always puts together such a good game plan.
And they're good for one win in the tournament.
They're always good for at least one. But
Give me one win
yeah,
in the tournament with Michigan State.
just based on these projections, Michigan's projected to have more of a down year. So I really think Michigan State can come out and do that, or even like a deep sleeper in this. I think it would be Ohio State. I think Ohio State always seems to have a
I would
good
hate
team.
that so much.
I know you would,
I hate
but
that so
they
much.
always seem to have a good team or a good 3 or 4 players that propel them higher.
Well, they said they
than
may not
should
be elite, but they're
right.
But
they're
those
not.
3 guys play well together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want my deep sleeper actually is Illinois. For the past
Maryland
two,
is a deep sleeper there.
Maryland for you.
Yeah.
I like that. So, Illinois for me has been a team the last 2 to 3 years that always wins a lot of games in the regular season, gets to the tournament, and loses in the first round or loses in the second round. So, for me, I'm not having to
That's
ask
half
them.
the Big Ten.
I'm not asking them to go deep in the tournament, man. I'm just saying I think
Make it
a
past
deep
the
sleeper,
first
they got a chance to win their conference.
That's
So.
half the Big Ten.
All right, we'll get to the Big 12. The champion of last year, Kansas, coming in there, actually not even projected to win the Big 12 via, what is this, teamrankings.com, NCAA bracketology. So for me, I'm going to go with Baylor. I mean, they won a championship 2 years ago, 3 years ago, how many ever that was. I
2
think
years ago, I think it was the year before Kansas.
they play really good defense. Obviously, they play some early games. I know they got Gonzaga this year, so I'm gonna trust in the Baylor Bears to battle back this year and fight off Kansas in the conference.
I think I'm swinging with the edge of Kansas. Kansas is, even though Bill Self is on a 4 or 5 game self-imposed suspension, but I mean the first part of the season you don't really need your coach. I think you can pretty much, especially with as much talent as a team like Kansas has,
Well,
you can get by without having your coach there. But yeah, I think Kansas is just like one of those like Kentucky teams where they're battle tested. They always seem to have top tier talent no matter what, and I just think they're going to go through and just continue to lead that division.
I agree with what you're saying. Kansas is always a juggernaut in the college basketball world, but I think this is the year that you pick the wrong team from Texas. Longhorns put it together.
Whoa!
And I think they get it done in the Big 12 this year.
A lot of talent on Texas.
They do have a lot of talent.
I think this is the year they're able to put it together and actually make a run at that title.
Yeah, man. I mean, Chris Beard is such a great coach coming over from Texas Tech, and obviously he took Texas Tech to a national championship game, so, or a Final Four at least. I would say Texas is my deep sleeper. I'm not calling the win, but I feel where you're coming from.
I think there's a lot of talent there. They got a lot of upside to them.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you got to face some juggernauts in there in the Big Ten.
Of
Yeah,
course.
you got to play Kansas twice. You got to play Baylor twice.
Yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma always seems to give them struggles, or at least they,
Oklahoma State's been a good team for the last couple
I
of
was
years.
gonna
You
say
got Texas
that's
Tech,
my-
of course.
That's my deep sleeper is
Oklahoma State. That was going to be mine too.
Okay,
That was gonna be
State.
mine too.
Okay,
So I
State's
mean,
my
they
deep sleeper.
got some stout competition in the regular season to get past. But I think if they can and show that they can hang with some of these elite teams, like a Kansas,
They have the talent, right?
Yeah.
Chris Beard has been. What Texas's problem, I felt like when I was a big Longhorns fan and when Kevin Durant was there, is you always had immense amounts of talent coming to that program. You just never had a coach that could get them there, and it feels like Chris Beard, a guy that's had success in the tournament and knows how to play. He's a defensive guy, obviously, so maybe he puts in a really good defense, but You know, it feels like he's the right guy that might be able to finally get Texas over
Yep.
the hump. So I like the pick. Jumping to the ACC, what I regard as the best basketball conference in America, and I think most would agree with me. I think North Carolina is without a doubt the best team in the country. You got to hammer the Tar Heels for the national championship for me. I mean, this was the team that should have won it last year. Ultimately, returns an immense amount of talent, both with Love and I can't say the guy's last name.
Baycott.
Yeah, well, Baycott too.
Yeah, the center.
Baycott's another. I
Yeah.
forgot about Baycott, but for me, it's got to be North Carolina in the ACC. I think Duke can contend, Virginia can contend, but I think North Carolina for me.
I think that's a clean sweep then, because there's no.
Yeah, I mean,
pride for me.
I would say
Yeah.
North Carolina definitely wins the ACC. I could see them falling in the
in the
tournament
tournament
somewhere.
somewhere. I don't know.
I think they would. I can see them getting to a team where
If
where-
Baycott would have got hurt last year during the tournament, I don't see North Carolina losing that. Last year, and you're returning two phenomenal big men, and I think that can make or break a game.
Well, that's what won the game. That's what won it for Gonzaga last year, was having those two big guys down low.
Yeah, for a long time. And Timmy's back actually.
Oh,
Timmy's back for another year, so we don't even need to get to Gonzaga. Gonzaga's winning their conference. I don't even care who else.
is that the Big
But-
East, right?
No, that's
No,
not
that's
Big
like-
East. They're
that's
in
like
the
out- that's on the
they're
West.
Big West actually. I think
Yeah,
that's what
they're out
called.
west.
So
But yeah, I think
for-
North Carolina for sure wins that.
I'm gonna say a sleeper for me actually. If we're gonna, I'm gonna go outside of Duke and Virginia. I think those are two really great teams. Obviously, they're projected to be 3 seeds at this point early in the season. I think Vatech plays really scrappy basketball.
They
And
did
you got
last year.
You got to see it last year
They
in that
did last
ACC
year.
tournament. You saw it in the NCAA tournament. So for
Well,
me,
Well, they won the ACC tournament, didn't
They
they?
did. Yeah.
Was that the guy
They
that
came
had
from-
like the bleached hair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Reminded me of a lot of Dennis Rodman the way he played.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, and in fact, like it just looked scrappy,
Yeah.
like
yeah.
maybe not talent wise, but he just looked like
I
real
was gonna
scrappy
say.
ball.
So I think Vatech would be a sleeper for me.
Mine's Miami.
Miami.
Yeah, I project the Hurricanes to be a sleeper pick.
I mean, a lot of money in that
They
men's
got a
basketball
lot
team
of
down there.
talent.
They
They
got a lot of talent.
Well, a lot of talent built into money.
Yeah, I was gonna say they got a lot of Jimbo Fisher talent going on down there. So
Hey, yeah, but there's no $85 million buyout for those guys.
yeah, sure. So they paid for it. Let's see what they get their money's worth out of it. So deep sleeper in the ACC for you.
Virginia Tech as well.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, I think they play
I
really
know they
good,
play. Yeah.
really
I love
good
how they
team
play.
basketball.
Yeah. We're gonna jump down to the Pac-12 here. Interesting conference. Got some good teams. I know they're considered a Power 5. I look at this and I say, for me,
I think this is the bottom five, the last.
Yeah,
this
is
would be the
bottom
bottom.
of the
Yeah,
Power
this
Five.
would be the bottom. This would be the bottom of the Power 6. I think the Big East has a better basketball conference than the Pac-12.
Oh, they definitely do. I mean, you got a projection. You projected only 4 teams to go out of 12.
Yes, and 5 for the Big East. So
Yeah, so I mean,
14, right? No, do they have 12? Yeah, they have 12. You're right. So I'm going to go UCLA actually in the Pac-12. I
like UCLA
know
too.
Arizona is the current crowd favorite, but I like UCLA this year. A lot of good
Did,
basketball played there.
Johnny Juzang, did he graduate and or declare for the draft?
I think he graduated.
Okay, but still, I thought
he
they
had
were.
a COVID year, so he could be back.
Oh yeah, he does. He could actually have.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
If he decided to come back as a super senior kind of thing, with this COVID year, he's been in 2 tournaments where they've made really good runs. He's played really well in those runs, and UCLA has put together, I think, a lot of talent around him or around that team. And yeah, I agree though. I think UCLA's. I think UCLA can win that one, and then go across town. I think, well, not really across town. I think USC would be my other pick.
USC would be my
Deep
sleeper. Yeah.
I like it.
I like UCLA for to win that division. I think they've got. They might have more talent, but they're more battle tested. Just like you were saying about they've gone deep in the last 2 NCAA tournaments. And they've made some big deep runs and played some really stiff competition to get to where they got to. So yeah, I like UCLA to win, and I would say there's Juzang, but he might be gone.
He is. He's with
Yeah,
He's with the Pacers.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if he.
No, whoever.
I couldn't remember if he actually graduated or what he did.
I'm with the UCLA pick right now. I think it's not a deep sleeper by any means, but I think Oregon is another team where I'd look at it and say, I think they have a really good shot at winning the conference.
Another good team with a bunch of good talent.
Yeah. I mean, Arizona's the crowd favorite, but I'm gonna stick with UCLA or Oregon for me. All right, last conference for us, Big East. I mean, for me, this is the basketball conference, right? Like, you look at all these teams, basically no good football teams, if any. Yeah, literally no good football team. UConn, right? Hey,
UConn's great, man.
UConn's 5. What are they? 5-5 this year, actually. I think.
I know they went from being the worst team last year to winning 5 games.
5-5. So, this is an interesting conference. This almost feels like a conference where anybody could really win it. I think the Big East every year just kind of feels about who getting hot. But for me, I've always had a great love for them. I think the blue blood is Villanova. I actually want to take Creighton this year. Super highly rated team. They're in the top 10 right now.
I would say Creighton.
Creighton knows how to play good basketball. They don't recruit a bunch of high rated people.
But they play really well together.
But they always play well. They always have a good team.
Yeah.
They always have a decent basketball team, and I think this is a good year for them. So I'm going to take the Creighton Jays.
I mean, not know much about the Big East. I'm gonna have to stick with Nova to win it because I just feel like Nova's always.
It's a safe bet.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're always gonna be a top 4 seed in the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, they always play well together. They just won 4 or 5 years ago.
Yep.
With that huge shot off the glass at the end.
Yeah.
I actually like Seton Hall to do something this year too.
That's my deep sleeper.
I like Seton Hall. Seton Hall too. Seton Hall always finds a way to
make things interesting.
Just like we were talking about Virginia Tech, they're scrappy, and they always find a way to stay around in the game. They always find a way to be there at the end, to hit a buzzer beater, or to pull ahead and stay ahead with their scrappy defense or just their shooting in general.
Yep. You can take Nova, aren't you?
No, I'm taking Xavier.
I like it.
I'm taking Xavier.
I
like
Xavier
a great
too.
basketball school, man. Another great basketball school.
I'm going Xavier, and like you said, deep sleeper Seton Hall.
Yeah.
It's
funny that we all agree on that. I think Seton Hall is just kind of one of those teams
that's like
just
sneaky good.
Yeah, you just feel it right there. Sneaky good. So Gonzaga projected to go 26-3.
The only other one over there.
Yeah, the big one. Oh yeah, I forgot about St. Mary's.
Yeah, San Francisco was there not too long ago.
Yeah, they were on the bubble.
And Loyola Marymount, they had a team a couple years ago.
You think of Loyola Chicago?
No, I thought they had one too.
Well, maybe they did.
Loyola.
Maybe
I mean,
they
Chicago did. Chicago's always in there.
Yeah.
Because they got that Sister Ann or whatever.
Sister Jean.
Yeah, that one.
Jean, baby.
Did she pass
She's
away?
like 102
Or
years
was she still?
I think she's still kicking.
I hope not. We'll look it up off
I'd
air.
say I'm not sure, but I hope she's
I don't want to
still.
get all sad on air. So
I think she's still kicking.
Last I heard she was, because she was at the tournament last year, right?
Yeah, she was at last year's tournament.
At like 102.
Yeah, she's
my deep sleeper for the season, just in general, not in a conference related sense, is Dayton. I looked up Dayton the other day. A lot of talent, a lot of experience, 2 good guards and 1 good big man, like I always like in my basketball teams that make it run in the tournament. Dayton, and they started the season 24th. They're 24th to start the season, so Dayton Flyers, that is the team to watch this year for me. So,
All right.
But
yeah.
any last thoughts?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, as always, we appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe.